The movie begins on October 30, 1969, in a North Carolina forest. Two children on bicycles are seen encountering a dead body at the swamp's edge near the tower. Startled, they later identified the dead body to Sheriff Jackson and his colleagues as Chase Andrews, the greatest quarterback in the city's history. What is surprising to the police is that there are no traces of him or anyone else in the area. On the way up the tower, Chase realizes that he may have fallen through a broken grate, but Sheriff Jackson still doubts that conclusion. An autopsy report confirms that a sudden impact from a height of 63 feet caused the death. However, hitting the beam with the back of the head required him to fall backwards, increasing the chance of being pushed. Additionally, the absence of fingerprints on the tower's railings and gratings and the presence of red fibers on Chase's denim jacket support his possible murder. Later that night, as two policemen sit in a diner, they overhear townsfolk accusing a swamp girl of committing Chase's murder. But what's interesting is that they don't even know her name. All they know is that there's a woman in the swamp who's crazy enough to end up in an insane asylum, aka Marsh Girl. Suspecting something suspicious, a police officer visits Marsh Girl's house, but she discovers an unexpected fact related to the case. The door opens and no one is there, so they go inside and find a red cap that is believed to be the source of the red fiber they found on Chase's jacket. Finally, we meet the Marsh Girl, aka Kai Clark, who has been hiding in the woods to avoid being caught. A day or two later, police finally found Kaya in a boat on the lake. She used her swimming skills to try to escape, but fate had other plans. The townspeople are well aware of Kaya's involvement in the murder, and they have only seen her locked up in prison, working together to spread propaganda against Kaya. I know a lot about the past of despite her negative public attitude towards her, former attorney Tom Milton visits her cell to prove her innocence. However, when she goes to trial, she will be tried by a jury of her colleagues, who only know her as the Swamp Girl. To free her Kaya, Tom must reveal her true story to the judge. A scared Kaya does not react at first, but she finally tells Tom about her past before he leaves. And the movie goes back 16 years to 1953. Kaya had her family and a loving mother who always had a smile on her face. She has 4 estranged siblings besides Jody, whom she loved. One day, while Kaya and her sisters are playing on her father's boat, a local boy named Tate comes to the house. Here we learn how violent Kaya's father is, and when Tate tries to protect Kaya, we're warned not to go back. After that, Julianne's mother, unable to endure her husband's torture, left home and never returned. Kaya tries to stop her, but Julianne seems mentally unable to hear her scream. As she left, her siblings seemed to follow her one by one, leaving Kaya feeling more alone than ever. And finally, she has to leave even Jody, who has always been in her care. Miss Kaya can't hold back her tears as she sees Jody leave, and the boy isn't happy leaving her sister behind either. Before leaving, he advises Kaya to run away and hide deep in a distant swamp, where crayfish croak whenever they get into trouble. After everyone leaves, Kaya learns from her mistakes and avoids his father as much as possible to protect himself from his father's wrath. One day, she unexpectedly meets Tate, the son of a fisherman and a friend of Jody's. There was something about him that eased the tightness in her chest. For the first time since Mom and Jody were gone, she felt nothing but hurt. With each passing day, Kaya musters up the courage to ask her father for more food, and he takes her to a store where she can only afford grits to eat. Mabel and Janpin, the shopkeepers, sense the situation and become more and more friendly towards Kaya. Mabel encourages Kaya to go to school by offering her clothes and secretly giving her free candy. Kaya's gift. Kaya decides to go to school wearing the clothes she got from Mabel, and goes to town, where she meets Tom, who shows her to school. However, on her first day with Kaya, her shabby clothes and her scruffy appearance were ridiculed by her students, forcing her to drop out of school and go back to school again. To survive in this cruel world, she finds solace in boating and an unexpected encounter with Tate. Meanwhile, Clark began treating her kindly to her, even giving her his old military backpack. For Kia, just as things were beginning to settle down a little, a letter from her mother took the tiniest glimmer of happiness out of her life. After reading an unexpected letter from Julianne, Clark burns it to ashes, depriving Kaya of the opportunity to read even a single word of it. He tells Kia that her mother is not coming back. Heartbroken at the loss of her last hope of seeing her mother again, the girl saves the ashes of the letter so that she can feel her mother's warmth in every possible way. Later that night, Clark sets fire to his wife's belongings while Kaya watches helplessly from inside. Then comes the day when Kia wakes up with another terrible piece of news. Her father also left her. Her lack of food and other necessities makes it difficult for her to live long. Kaya then heads to the lake to collect seashells to sell at Mabel's shop. Jumpin provides them with food and necessities such as matches and candles in exchange for a few pounds of clams each week. While Jumpin deals with the situation with a business mindset, Mabel takes pity on the young girl and occasionally offers her clothes and shoes. It's today, but Mabel is still sending Kaya the clothes she'll wear for her first try. If she is found guilty at the end of her trial, she faces the death penalty. Chase's family attorney convinced the jury that Kaya Chase lured Ms. Andrews into the tower and killed her. Meanwhile, Tom reassures Kaya and tells everyone there is no evidence to back up Chase's lawyers. Mr. Kia finds himself here because it's easier to blame her based on where she's from than relying on her facts. Tom advises Kaya to shop for bargains. So if she admits that she was in the tower that night and had a disagreement with Chase that caused the tragic accident, Tom could get her out of prison in just 6 years. It means you can. The idea seems profitable, but Kia says nothing to suggest her guilt and she wants out of prison. And the movie goes back to 1962, when Kia was getting older. She frequently sees men in the woods, but she never dares to speak to them. After that, the man left her quill, some seeds, a spark plug, and some letters she couldn't even read. One day, when the two face each other, the man finally tells her that he is her childhood friend Tate. An awkward conversation ensues between the two, ending with Tate offering to teach Kaya how to read and write. Kia starts with the ABCs and progresses to the basics of biology. She has a passion for learning to write and developing her love for it. Her drawing skills are exceptional and her knowledge of feathers, birds, and other native wildlife is unmatched. Over time, she and Tate grow closer, sharing a past and grieving the loss. Their love and care for each other eventually led to starting a relationship. Despite Kaya's willingness to have a physical relationship in the future, Tate declines the offer, fearing for Kaya's safety and her reputation in the city. Meanwhile, social services begin a search for Kia, who is housed in a secure residence. But in reality, they are working with contractors to drain swamps for hotel construction. Despite these challenges, everything in Kaya's life seemed perfect until Tate bombarded her with going to college. Overwhelmed by the news, Kaya struggles to control her emotions. She wants Tate to stay, but contrary to her ideas about their relationship, Tate wants to go to college and become more than just a fisherman. In the end, Kaya bids him farewell with her heavy heart, but Tate provides her with a list of her publishers to which all her drawings and notes are sent in order to give her a chance to make more money. Tate promises to never forget Kaya and to come back a month later on the 4th of next month to watch the fireworks together. Eventually he goes to college and Kia is alone again. Long story short, the day has come for Tate to return. Kia can't wait to see him again. She wears a dress given to her by Mabel and waits impatiently for him on the beach all day. Unfortunately, Tate never shows up, leaving Kaya feeling betrayed and hopeless. Later that night, she watched the fireworks alone, and when she woke up the next morning, Tate was nowhere to be seen. Her memories of Tate flare up. As her memories of Tate flare up, she finds her solace in the swamp again, but she can't seem to trust others again. A sheriff investigating the crime scene today claims that Chase's death was a homicide, citing destroyed fingerprints and footprints as evidence. but Tom says the footprints must have disappeared in the flood. Tom then draws the judge's attention to an important point. The year before, he said, a sheriff had submitted a written request to the U.S. Forest Service to repair the tower's broken grate, saying the grate, left untreated, could cause serious injury or death. He made it clear that he had been warned. Meanwhile, Kai reminisces about the first time she met Chase and her family on the beach in 1968. Before speaking, Kia heads to her home, where she sees another developer clicking a picture of a swamp. At Mabel's store, Mabel reveals that a developer is acquiring land to build a hotel, and encourages them to do whatever they can to protect their family's last memories. Kaya goes to the land registrar to find out if this place really belongs to her, and runs into Chase along the way. After accepting a date offer, Kaya visits the land registry. He then agrees that the house was purchased by Grandpa. But she has taxes to pay, which can cost her $800 if she wants to keep them. With no other source of income, Kia decides to send the sample to the publisher named in the memo and expects a response from the publisher. She then accompanies Chase on a beach date. But things take a turn for the worse when the handsome town man starts to feel like he's not worthy. Realizing the mistake she made, Chase apologizes to Kaya and takes her to Fire Tower to make amends. As time goes on, the two start spending more time together. Kaya wasn't sure how she felt about Chase, but that was enough because she wasn't lonely anymore. It's his turn to return to court and turn in the red thread that was on Chase's denim jacket the night he died. Chase's attorneys allege that Kaya's hat and jacket fabric match perfectly, so she was involved in the murder. Tom was quick to argue that the fibers may have been transferred to Chase's clothing during one of the previous encounters, which may have occurred weeks and possibly months before the murder. In the past, Kia has received responses from publishers who have shown interest in her manuscript and expressed a strong interest in editing and publishing it as soon as possible. After getting a promotion at work, Chase proposes to Kaya, who takes her to a hotel where she has her first sexual experience. Here, Kia presents him with a rare and ornate seashell necklace that he found on his first date at sea. However, when Chase died, Chase's mother claimed police did not find the necklace on his body, leading her to suspect Kaya stole it before murdering him. But despite a thorough search of her home, police failed to find her necklace, and lawyers and Ms. Chase's mother left no evidence to incriminate her. Eventually, while Chase and Kaya were still together, Tate returned from college to find they were a happy couple. However, when Chase made inappropriate comments about her body in public and behind the scenes, he quickly realized she wasn't right for Kia. Tate can't stand it and confronts him. They argue until Jumping intervenes. Interestingly, Tate wears a hat identical to the yarn found on Chase's jacket. Later that night, Tate visits Kaya. Kaya is furious with him because he disappeared without a trace and he didn't even email if he was alive or dead. Tate apologizes for breaking up with her. He didn't come back because he believed Kia couldn't leave the swamp and adjust to her new life. But at some point he realized he couldn't live without her. He now works in a new lab near town, so he asks if there's a way to forgive Kaya, but she says she doesn't know. Kaya and Chase's relationship is perfect, but one day in town she unexpectedly runs into him and a girlfriend who claims to be his fiancée. With Chase acting as if nothing happened between them, Kaya feels betrayed and she withdraws at home. Chase arrives a few minutes later, but Kaya hides in the bush before he can catch up. She is determined not to give him another chance to take advantage of her. Despite all of her people don't stay, there were still some good things in Kia's life. Her book was published and she was given enough money to pay her taxes and get her home back. Renovating and repurchasing her 310 hectares of lagoons, swamps and oak forests. One day, her younger brother Jody appears out of nowhere after seeing Kaya's book at the store. Jody enlists in the military and reveals how her mother tried to get her children back. However, she is threatened by Clark that she will never contact them again or he will beat the children unrecognizably. Julianne had been saving money for her attorney's fees and such, but then she fell ill and she died of leukemia. Seeing her success with Kaya, Chase tries to get back into her life, but loses her control due to her repeated rejections and attempts to sexually assault her. Kaya hits him with her stone and escapes, but she warns him not to bother him again or else she will kill him. This death threat was later heard by a fisherman who testified against her in court. Always feeling unsafe after Chase's attack, Kaya spends the night outside her house hiding in the bushes. One day, when Tate comes to check on Kaya, she is disgusted to see the bruises on her face. Despite his desire to punch her Chase, Kaya pleads with Chase to stop and let her move on. Tate invites her to attend a meeting with her publisher in Greenville and gives Kaya her red hat. It is unknown whether Kaya kept the cap. If so, then the question arises as to how the wool fibers from it got onto Chase's jacket if their relationship had already ended. The following week, everyone saw Kaya leave town for a meeting in Greenville. She met with the publishers at dinner, and later that night Chase was killed. But the publisher claims that when they met with Kaya again the next morning, she appeared perfectly normal. Nevertheless, a lawyer for Chase's family found out they were staying at a different hotel and revealed that Kaya was staying at a hotel near the bus station. He claims she took an overnight bus ride into town and murdered Chase. On the final day of the trial, Jody, Mabel, Jumpin, and even Tate arrived to voice their support for Kaya. Based on the claims of Chase's family attorney, Tom makes a last-ditch effort to protect Kaya, explaining that it's really impossible to leave town on the bus without someone else. She must also find Chase in the middle of the night, lure him into the tower, kill him, destroy all evidence, complete all these actions within an hour, and then take the final bus back to Greenville. What Tom says makes no sense. And he advised the judges to base their judgments on the facts presented in that court, not on what people said or thought about the Swamp Girl all her life. While awaiting the judge's ruling, Tom tells Jody and Tate that they must accept whatever ruling is rendered. And a decision was made. The moment everyone's been waiting for finally arrives when the jury acquits Kaya of first-degree murder in Chase's death. After the case is dismissed, Kaya and Tate reconcile and spend their lives together enjoying the beauty of the swamp. Tate asks if she wants to marry him, but she thinks she is already married. Over time, Kaya continues to write her book, and Jody's family visits frequently. In this way, the two continue to live in the swamp and grow old together. One day, while Kaya is alone on a boat, she witnesses the ghost of her mother who brought her to the afterlife. Finally, Tate tearfully watched Kaya die on the boat. Over the next few days, as Tate rummaged through his belongings, he was quoted as saying, "All living things do what they have to do to survive, and sometimes predators have to die for their prey to survive. I found a book written by a drawing of Chase is also included." Then, he discovers the missing blood-stained shell necklace. This discovery leads Tate to realize that Kaya actually murdered him to keep her own life as his booty. The film ends with Tate throwing Chase's necklace into the water, permanently hiding Kaya's potential secret. End. In the end, the movie weaves a tale of love, loss, and survival as Kaya, the Swamp Girl, faces accusations of murder, but with the support of true friends and a past that unravels her story, she finds a sense of belonging and redemption, leaving viewers with a haunting and thought-provoking conclusion.